Hi everyone, it's Jen from Mind's Eye, and we're gonna look into the unknown on this episode as a psychic medium reading onto obscurities. So basically, all you need to know is that everything went about and a know about and a show about that you can't get a day, and you can't get a day in on where you find something that is wrong. But as a turn of the century, you just can't even do. So last week on the episode, we had found that there was something about the obscurities that was part of the occult that was a little bit darker than what we expected. But in reality, we had some issues, especially with the subway station, how an illegal alien just like goes up to you and bludgeons you, for lack of a better term, and sets you on fire. And then we have teenagers doing the same thing. So when we look at it and we look past the other issues that were going on and other psychic readings that we had, it was why do we have this feeling of being superstitious that we have to have these things? So really, it's like it's a freeze. It really is this freeze, and that is ice. And it's not the actual agency like doing freeze. It's like what is this freeze that has to happen? Because we thought everyone wanted a propel forward of a change. But really, when we got down to the nitty gritty, there's this feeling of obscurity last week that was very dark black, but it was sheer, like it looked thin. And then when we saw it completely, it started cracking through with a pentacle, which is a coin with a star on it, but also it was a golden egg. And we didn't know what else was going to come through. So let's just try to cut through a little bit of energy and see what we could do. So, this rune is showing like it is a little bit of a type of trolling that will come through on a wheel, but I'm seeing like a WIEL, which is Hebrew for like a cutaway. So when I'm looking at Othala and I'm hearing estate, I'm actually looking at like the type of culture, actually infection to culture. And I'm looking at power, and it's not what I'm seeing right in my face. It's not bird flu. It is like COVID, but it's not like COVID. It is like a pneumonia, but it's not a pneumonia where you just can't understand a few. But it's PHEU, which is, a lack of another term, like if you're doing hoodoo, voodoo, juju, a few means you took your dirt and you took it to the water, and then you actually took it to the place unknown to get it done, and you buried it like a time capsule. And if you cracked it open, something would come out like a genie in a bottle, and not in a good way. So when I see Rido, it actually is a false, a hard stop. When I see Dega, I actually look, I'm like, like a take on a symptoms of what would ensue. But in reality, heavily, it's like causing havoc on what we need to do. So when I see the obscurity, like what's really coming through this week, we have to really try to use selenite. And it really doesn't have to do with everything. But when I'm seeing selenite, it is a cleanser stone crystal. And then you see everything on a flip flop that you can't even do a do. So let's look at this crystal quartz. So when I go about it in a way that you can't even see it, it's continuing education. It has to do with what has shown up in the media. What was a continuing education? Why do we need a continuing education on it? It's really unclear, and people are going to get upset about that. But that is the question on the table. So don't shoot the messenger. So when I actually look at it and I say, I see this and I see 04, I have to say it is a good day when you see 04 on the board because you get to move forward even more. So when I actually do it and I can't even do a done and I can't even do a gun, because now students are exercising their rights, they're outside, they're peaceful, and they are actually protesting about everything that you just couldn't even see how it would go. So we have one question here. Do you have a story when people were walking in line and suddenly stopped walking and all the people crashed into each other? Oh, domino effect. That was definitely in 1827, but there was something about 1927 with a prohibition that had happened. It's an odd phenomena, but it is a criminal phenomena. And it's not always a play on words because it's embarrassing, unless it's part of a protest. It's really hard to explain, but what I can see what you're going at is a type of cutout when all of a sudden they just fall right over. It was like a push of energy. But you can go ahead and you can ask any further questions on that one. So when I look at it and I just can't even do a done and I can't even do a pun, nobody could take the joke. Nobody could take the joke. So where is this obscurity? So when you actually look at it, anyone who's grown up or is old enough about throwing energy, you're not to know where the energy came from, but you can hear it and you can feel it at times. So let's look at this. Linking it right through what we were seeing with that obscurity, that is hidden energy that's relating to the incidences in New York with the fire, of the untimely death, to the miners' untimely death with a fire, this premonition that a lot of people are having about having like something with them for protection. And then you have that domino effect. You just can't even make it up because it's just falling all apart. All right. So I see this, and this means unbeknownst at a railroad, at a crossroad, eyes wide shut type of feeling, not attuned. They all of a sudden are like, you're just off balance, you're off gate. And then actually do like a play on words on multiple spellings. And it really hurts because all of a sudden you're just there. But when you look at it, like they're just sitting like, yeah, I mean, I told you so. They're happy. Exactly what this guy was like. And it comes in really fast. That's the Knight of Wands. Like he comes in charging, and the wands is fire energy. So when I relate it to chemistry and physics, if it's fire energy and cold energy, and then you look at it and you can't even see like cold energy, hard pressed energy with fire energy as a catalyst. So when you see this is not something that we really wanted to remember, and that's usually the Six of Cups, that you can't even see, that you actually have a struggle, and it doesn't matter if you're on the same page or not with political insights or anything like that. So two cards come out. It really has to do with like inheritance and securement and contracts and probate and anything, even up to land, because there was a lot of questions how other countries had anything. So when you had this, have you ever had such a big human collision in real life? In that, I digress to the highest point of a degree of a nun. So when I see it, I actually have to say, you have to digress a little bit more in that. So when I see this, there's no foresight sometimes when they ask questions to the highest degree. But really, it's when you're actually walking in line. All of a sudden, you're looking around and you say, a little hypervigilant to actually thinking about everything and anything and something and nothing about a partnership. But really, it is wishes fulfilled. So when I actually do like a cantankerous review of any question that might come in on a type of anything, I have to say, this is a type of collision of individuals that's out here, even into this community, even into tech, that you just can't understand. You're just playing or doing anything at all, and then all of a sudden you're just right there. It's just right there in your face. Who's been trolling you? So when you look at it and you actually have to say the play on words is good, it is a little bit harsh on the cutting, but sometimes you got to do a little harsh. It is no victory, IRE. So when I actually look at it and I actually say there's something about having it all done on a way to a run for fun, but it's a pun, you actually say there's a type of celebration prior. Disappointment and loss, absolutely. Absolutely. So what else is actually coming through here that you just can't even understand? So when you look at the actual judge who is freezing everything, politically, is that the greatest move? Or is it legal and lawful on both ends? Who's both legal and lawful? Don't even know. There is cutaway of logic. You have to sometimes sit alone to have logic of your own self. But when you do it and you're saying, no, I sit by myself when I do this. When I'm gaming, you need to leave it alone. It is leave it alone. Just leave us alone. It really has something to do with everything and anything and something and nothing to get it done. So here you are trying to decompress and let anything out. And you look and you're like, there's no foresight. There's no celebration. Why would you keep talking about celebration? This is deceitful, highly deceitful. We're trying to chisel away. What we need to know at this week? It really hurts because we're talking about our IRAs. We're talking about our retirements. We're talking about everything. And here we are. We're trying to make partnerships that are positive. You can't even be in rest mode. So when I actually look at it and I blend, there's no planting, there's no perth, there's no pleth to PETH. That is the fiery beginning that actually comes through. So when I look at it, absolutely confirmed. We got two aces. So we have an ace of wands, which is fiery. And then you got ace of swords. That's air energy burned together. It's a catalyst of hidden motives, the high priestess. Where is this all coming from? Nobody understands. That's actually when so much energy hits you in the face that you actually can't understand. It's called profound. They make you profound for a second or 2 weeks where you actually can't comprehend what happened to you because it slams so fast. So when I look at it, the Knight of Cups, it's a retract back of an emotional offer. And it really hurts because it looked like grandiose thoughts at first, but then it looks Knight of Pentacles. It was too hard of an offer to actually put it on the table and propel it forward. And that is where they're saying, like, everyone is sitting pretty right now who is not doing really well. And that's the Queen of Wands because it was an ill contract. So how does that chisel to what we're seeing as crime show up in daily life? Right to knocking on our front door. Lack of business venture, lack of money, lack of anything that is like monetarily. But this is Pentacle energy. It's hard energy. It's almost too hard to cause a pause. That's the Hangman. So when I look at it, it actually makes isolation even worse. So when it's happening during a time where it's COVID, pneumonia, it's flu season, and we're isolated and we really can't get out due to everything else that's going on, you'd have to say it was a well-prudent and planted path. So when I see it, the Page of Pentacles, it goes really hard, it goes really fast, it goes everything. You just can't even do it. You can't even do it. You can't even cry. You can't even sweat. You can't do it. You can't put a due date on it. And you can't even actually get a doctor's appointment, a DO, because you're constipated. And it's just so simple. So when you look at this and you see the Three of Pentacles, where's the teamwork? Where's the apprenticeship on this? Because where is the ending? And it's not a true death, like an untimely death or something that was anticipated because maybe you have a loved one or a friend who is right at that point in their life. It really is end it. Where is this ending? It's so disgusting. It really has to do with female energy, actual female. True. This is something of like a hostage hidden motive of a dictatorship. Like they dictate exactly what happens. And you see this, it's just a happy family all together when they do it. Let's go to another deck. All right. So usually with that, take on symptoms usually happens with psychics where you can't even do a do. Can't even say goodbye to it. You got to stick with it. It's awful. All right. Wild Unknown Tarot. Animals. Pleth and Perth. Perth is hidden. It is like hidden. That's what I see it. I do see Australia, Perth. I do see gold coin. It's showing me this. I'm seeing high at BUT. No. ANA. All right. What else? So going back to what I was saying, the year 1827 actually goes back to a lesson of a difficulty. That's the Ten of Wands in reverse. It was a new start. It was the Son of Wands. So it's like brand new, just right to the table. It was really, really hard. And this was the Two of Wands in reverse, where you couldn't do it. It was too hard, too fast, all at once, and you can't do it because it actually broke up a relationship. And it's really showing me almost like a Hatfield and McCoy type of situation where it became highly political all the way through agriculture when they were counting ducks, goats, and chickens, to where we have the issues with eggs. So when I actually see this and I actually go about it in a way unknown to be renowned, you have to say, what kind of remembrance sting or be must this be, where I have to remember myself in that time. I don't even think I was alive at that time. But really, the Nine of Swords, this is not something to actually chew a piece of gum about. So when I see this Two of Cups again, what is this partnership and this like offer on the table where you get together? Because I really see it to the highest degree of an actual nun that I see on TikTok selling herself. I mean, that's when you know it's like becoming derogatory for all religious affiliations. Because when you see it to the highest most, you have to say the Seven of Cups is grandiose thoughts. Where are they getting this grandiose thoughts? Five of Swords. I really have to say, walking the cow down my dirt road was easier. Like I said yesterday, that the camel was more logical to use for transportation than it was my actual vehicle. So when I actually look at it, the Nine of Pentacles, it goes through hard, but you can't dismay it. Again, prudency. Where is this going to drop? Wayland, Love, South, SE, Gray. Strong. Strong. Eight of Wands. It's a breakup of a type of communication that when I tap this, you've seen it before. The World, incomplete cycle. You can't complete anything. Something's about. So when you do it, you have to say the Five of Cups is actually going to do something. So when I'm looking at this, when I'm looking at it, 1927, domino effect, like a speakeasy for obvious, but oblivious to do done. Ace of Pentacles, absolute. So when you look at it and you say the Daughter of Wands is reversed, this is something that you can't actually pull in at all. At all. Take it as you hear it. Four of Pentacles in reverse. Lack of securement, lack of reticence. Reticence is actually like your bank account, is what you see in today. Lack of IRA, retirement, 401k, whatever it was, even to what you're waiting for in probate if you've been on that road. Again, it is this Nine of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles that keeps wanting to like flow out. And I say it's a DUN to a DUNN to a DUNE, which means you might as well just be sitting comfortably as a Lucifer, so legally and lawfully at times, that the Seven of Pentacles means there's no skilled work at this. There's a lot of skilled work at this. Sitting on the computer and actually showing people what's truly happening in reality for them. All right, let's go to an oracle. That's a little bit more intuitive. Sometimes it's hard and it gets it out. All right. So since this is a hot topic, let's talk about the Pleiadians. All right. So we go about to a bloated goat. But it all connects. You can't even make it up. Right off the bat. Absolute. That is where the marriage started. And you say, that was actually like in the 1800s that they would marry someone due to a pig and due to a chicken. It's definitely lore. There's definitely games about lore. It's called The Witcher. So the galactic core, you can't even see it coming. It's just right there. All of a sudden you look at it and like, yep, they're checking my pupils to see if anything is going, and they go and they take a chance. And then when you look at it, it happens so quick. All of a sudden they actually met their family. And when you look at it and you say, dolphin play? No, there's something about communities where they get highly protected and protective. So when I see it actually come through and there's just really nothing that you can do, that is where we nail what the obscurity is on how it takes it about. So when it takes it about, you have to say none is done. None is done. In relation to community events, even down to the whole town halls, you can't even see it at all. You can't even see it. You walk in to pay your taxes and you're like, no, just here's the slip and here you go. And what was that smell? And it's not trolling, but we found the source of the smell. Okay, it's never been like that. But when you look at it and you actually open up a box that's been sitting for a while, you have to say, caught it. I was meant to save it. And you get creative with it, and all of a sudden it's right there. It's just right there. Rooted light? Absolutely. Absolutely. It is something that comes through where you're sitting or anything like that. And for me, if it's rooted light, I have to say it was something of working in a company that just completely will digress you. Crystalline grids, point blank. It actually might be something that comes through that's not supposed to, but when I'm actually looking at it, they're like, my electronics are not working because it's Mercury retrograde. And you go, usually planetary measure and energies do not affect electronics that bad, if any. So what kind of power grid actually happens. Is it NASA solar panels? Is it anything like that? Mothership. Where is it at this point when you're sitting there and you're going, just take me up. Just take me up. Service. Yeah. You can do a lot. You can do a lot. Light technology has to do with beam. All right. Let's go on to the next. This one's a little bit harder. Animal Oracle. There you go. Lizard. So when I see this lizard and I'm seeing obscurity, and obscurity is a hard block that is really hard to difficult and be assured that everything is okay, that you have to sit and you have to wait for it by just tapping away at it until it hits you in the face. And you say, yep, I got it. So when I actually see a lizard and I see how it goes about, I have to say Galapagos. The eagle, it's not banking per se, but it really is a remorseful regression to the vulture in reverse, where you can't even see it on a true. Even the Crip Bloods couldn't even do this. And they're literally doing these signs. And don't worry, that's not a gang sign. Usually that just means someone is going to feel it right here. Wolf, absolute. Absolute. You can't even see it on how it would come into the moon. Again, lion. It's a true, but really it's a lamb. It's a lamb. So when you actually have it and you're looking through and you walked all into each other and it's happened multiple lifetimes and it really hurts because it's been poking fun. I have to say that was true. I went to the bathroom and all of a sudden I was every criminal. And I couldn't even believe it. And all I had was a cold. So when I looked at it, I said, the mouse crept in. The mouse crept in. So this seems a little bit all over the place. And that happens when a psychic is actually like chiseling away at something that has happened. And it's really hard. And yes, my accent really is Cockney. And it does fluctuate depending on how it is. And it's something that only I am pertinent to, is because I am a magician, which is a psychic who can see further out than a normal psychic. Dragon in reverse can't even do any type of watchful eye. Spider, you can't clean up dirt. Sea serpent, no, but I'm seeing coil. I'm actually seeing the stove coils, and I'm actually seeing the copper coils too. Hummingbird, no mess to the ender, because the whale in reverse goes a none, done. So when I look at it and I actually see otter in reverse, I actually have to say something is a take back. Something is a take back where you couldn't even see it coming. Crow, omen. So when I see ravens and crows, I definitely see omen. I definitely see something of a nastiness at times when it comes to obscurities. So looking at the current events and how it played out over the last week since this last show, you have to say that The crow is better than the raven, but I trust the raven more because the elk will come in and tell you that the stag is rare and raw to be a DUN. So when you see camel, I'd rather smoke a cigarette, actual camel, than riding a camel down through the streets. Because when I look at the owl, I have to say the voyeurism came through so hard that you couldn't even see it. That was the whole society over 10 days where you couldn't see it. Look at this, even the raccoon's like, I'm just gonna go be over here. That's that in reverse. All right. Let's look. Let's look. So went that. A little bit darker. Literary Witches Oracle. Hi, Ishika. All right, that one wanted to come right out. Here we go. So basically all we've been talking about, just to reiterate myself to those who are just joining, was current day events and what's happening, about obscurities, what's been hidden, what is this block. We talked about last week the golden egg. We talked about a pentacle coin coming down, feeling like this jar of dirt. Something about wells. Wells also, people going so heinous in their acts that you just couldn't do it. It's going, Ishika. It is. This is something of like a hidden community. Sorry to digress, Ishika, but basically, that came out so quick. It was community. There's like this community that has this block up as they go about with their energy. It showed quickly, and they're highly devoted to it. This one is a little bit more graphic, but it is no censorship here. It is identity. Like they hide their identity and they go about, and all of a sudden it's right there. Something at night, and when I look at it in my past deep dives, like historical ones, looking in, one was Paul Revere, and it had to do with taxation without representation. But it also had to do with what he was using or what they were using that helped them glow. And it was pyrite. So when I look at noose, it's not an actual noose, but it causes a pause. When I see cauldron, I'm actually seeing cast iron still. Cast iron. These are people who actually really don't know their magic or their witchcraft or anything like that. Transformation, they do. They change heavily, but they're really easily litigated and mitigated if you can catch it. If you're like a healthcare worker or you've worked on it, it's such a subtle change. People have seen it, especially after big events in the public. That's where justice is actually going to come in, is the quick interceptions. It's a hidden place of growth. That's what mushrooms mean. It is honesty and deceit. It actually is so like quick that they master the skill, but it has long-term effects. Long-term. When I, as a magician, I'm working my magic, and if I'm doing any type of like energy work or a cast out of energy, anything like that, you must know inertia and physics and everything about that, and also state and federal law before you ever really do something with the public. So when you see it and you actually see glove, basically it comes in as a type of service, but you have to be like almost done, like you have to stop when you do that interception, like it's going to take up your entire day, up to weeks. That's where prudency is. It is a lot of female energy that's guiding it, but it's also a type of high priest energy, but they're not male. They're doing high priest, not trained, that I can see quickly, that you can actually do this correctly. And that's where the abruption is. The freedom, they're dones. They're like, that's what they kept saying in the media. Like, a lot of these people are like, no, I was just done. They didn't understand why. Preacher's paw, and that's all you need to know. Whatever you see in this card, that's exactly what it is. Pond actually means that you can't do it about. You have to go it about. And that's where it's dangerous as far as healthcare, as far as anatomy and physics. Always know that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred and transmuted. So when you actually doing cast iron, and they might actually be ingesting real iron, that's a high concern. So where do you report that? It's really difficult, but you'll figure it out all of a sudden. So just to educate, when they do well, and it's my memories from growing up in the 90s, especially with the affiliates, when I grew up in the area with the Crips and the Bloods, it actually means well dwell. That means they would crack you open, especially with a lot of bronchitis and pneumonia, and they would leave like what they called a stent. And when they did that, they actually would like loosen you a little bit. And I could see them still doing this. And when they do that, they can throw and instill you with what they wanted. And that's why it was a huge war in the streets, because it was illegal to instill someone who was not of your family. So when I say that, I have to say everyone was correct. Even in the news, it was, what are they instilling into our family members? It wasn't so much of what the old term of a brainwash was. So when I look at it completely, I have to say, everything had to be really careful on what we say, because it really was going to pop off at some point. So when we see it to the highest degree of none, and you want to get it out, you have to figure what is of me and what is not of me. And that can actually take a while. All right. Lastly at this, let's look again, through the crystal quartz. It's known, an NOWN to an NOAN. NOAN has not been seen since lastly 1979, which was a lot of issues in about 5 states. And that had to do with a deal out where people could actually see sound. And when you see like anything like that of that, it would be like they're not observant at all. And you can see it where it's dangerous. In other words of that, I can almost see it coming right through where you can't even sue anything, because you go to push forward on charges or anything, you couldn't even do it. So when I see it chiseling away, and it usually chisels away towards the end, I'm going to use the gold tarot to get it out. I just never know how hard and how fast it's going to break through for me. Especially like if they're doing occult magic. That's usually with multiple things. It's usually harsh ordinance. Has to do with, they say, a contentment order, but it isn't. It's meant to put like a finality into shutting. It's like shutting a door and it's keyed. I'm seeing like a skeleton key, but it's a 3 loops. That's not a skeleton key. Skeleton key is actually like you see your key, but it has 3 lines. That's a skeleton key. It's a bad deal. It's a bad offering. That's the 6 of Pentacles that came through. I'm seeing on a 2-9. But really, it's going to cause a lot more harshness until it gets out. And that's all you need to know. All right. Starseed Oracle. And that will be it for the end of the night. All right, what else do we need to know? With that, red paper, parchment paper, The Shining, red rum, bourbon, flask, but I'm seeing like stellium. Learning to be human, but not of it. Grandiose thoughts, like they are alien, they're realm, but they're not. They're here for a double mission. We've seen this before when Ted Kaczynski was walking around. All right, last 2 cards of the night. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. And then when it says deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal, there's something about them being born. For lack of a better term, think along the lines of being a born-again Christian. But it's not derogatory towards them. And that's all I have to say. So with that being said, any questions or concerns, go ahead and feel a comment. You can just go ahead and leave it. You can send me an email. Any likes or shares are greatly appreciated. And with that being said, have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.